Alrighty, welcome guys to this new introduction part of Octane. I had a little Octane introduction part already online on VMO. Got a little bit old over the last 2 years, of course. A lot has changed, a lot of new features inside of Octane, so I thought it's definitely about time to make a new one and just to show you all the little things that have changed, and also of course change you all the basics once again. If you know the basics already, you can probably skip this video, but if you're new to Octane, you will definitely love it. So if you have everything proper installed, you should have Octane here as a plugin here as well, C4D Octane, and I'm working right now with the version 3.03.3 /R1, so release candidate 1 for this tutorial. Today is the 5th of October 2016, and the standalone version is 3.03.3 as well. Okay, so just that we are on the same page here. As soon as there gets really a bigger update where we get, I don't know, maybe some new things that I really need to feature, then I will definitely update this tutorial. But for now, this is the newest stable version that is available on OTO's homepage, so we will definitely stick with that. And for this tutorial, we will use the famous Stanford bunny. Stanford bunny because, yeah, it has been scanned by Stanford. Stanford University, some guys there, I guess. And first of all, I think we have to search for it. Oh, I think it's really big. Now that I did import it, it's wow, 100,302 centimeters. That's really big. I mean, like really big, really big. Okay, so let's make it way smaller. Let's maybe make it yeah. Right now it's 100 centimeters. And there should be some way that I can focus on this object. What was the comment again for this? View, frame all, frame default. Yes, thanks. Okay. So here we have our bunny, and we can make this a little bit smaller. Let's maybe make it 50 centimeters or something like that. I think that's fair enough. And like I said, we will be using this bunny for all of our texturing and well, not really texturing, more like shading and everything we try out with Octane. Another thing that we want to do, I think that comes in really handy, even though I have it here already. I have created here my own Octane user thing. We can do this again. If you don't know how to switch this, what we can do is we go, so we have all those buttons from plugin section just simply here, and don't always have to go plugins and then Cinema 3D Octane and then there and so on and so on. So there's an easier way. Let's go Windows, customization comments, and then we can first of all search for the live viewer. So let's type in live. Here we have the live viewer window, so let's put it here, and then we can search what else do we need from the plugin section. Octane scatter, I don't think. Yeah, well, maybe we need it. Let's type in scatter. Alright, let's type in volume. So Octane fog volume. The 40B we probably would only need if we import something from Houdini or something like that. So open for VDBs, an own format where you can save a lot of stuff. I don't know if it's only point clouds or even more. I'm not so really into Houdini, but I definitely know that this 40B you need for, I don't know, importing, or maybe you even can make your own Octane volume and then export it as VDB, which would be also possible maybe. I mean, we can take a quick look into this anyway. Couldn't hurt if I'm making a new tutorial here. And what else do we need from here? I don't think we really need much. This convert materials we will not often use. So I think an Octane light would be really nice. So Arnold light, what do I have here? Blah, 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 blah. Octane area light, okay, and Octane daylight. The ES light we don't really need because we can switch lights inside the area light anyway. So as soon as we create an area light, we just simply have to click one switch and we can load an IS light anyway. So no problem with that. Octane target area light. Maybe we should check this out as well. Didn't even know that this exists for now. Didn't work with Octane for a while, to be honest. I was on some projects with V-Ray and Arnold and so on and so on. So there wasn't really much time to play around with the new Octane anyway. So we'll check it out together, and we will definitely find a few cool new things. That's for sure. Okay, so let's delete this material here. And yeah, Octane is basically an unbiased engine. I mean, you can also drive it somehow a little bit biased, and then you can drive it in somehow some half unbiased mode, which is called path tracing, and then you also can drive it in somehow full unbiased mode, which is called PMC, so Monte Carlo rendering method or algorithm, which can be pretty cool. So if you look here we have the settings button. Just have to open up the live view settings button, and then here in this little section here under kernels, we can change this from direct lightning, which is kind of biased. We can change this to we might not even be able to change anything here anymore, because it looks like Octane just broke Cinema 4D, or I broke Cinema 4D, or something broke Cinema 4D. Probably was my mom. No, my mom is not even here. That's just a really, really bad joke. She's not here. Okay, no, not working anymore. Really like, no. Even thought the Cinema 4D is still working, but I can't do nothing, and that's always a bad sign. So let's just simply start back up Cinema 4D. Really sorry about that. I mean, you know my videos. You know, I'm always going uncut, because I also want to show all the mistakes that are happening. This is not because I'm really lazy about cutting. This is just simply because a lot of bad stuff is happening, and then you need to fix it. I mean, this way you definitely know how to fix it. You just simply have to close Cinema 4D and open it back up again. But at some other parts, you might want to see what has gone wrong and how can I fix this stuff. And I think a lot of people let this out in their tutorials, and I think it's really important, because it doesn't matter how long you are a 3D artist and how experienced you are, at some point you will make mistakes. This is just how it is. This is because we are human beings. Still not working, it seems. Okay, I will just simply stop the video here and see if I can get Cinema 4D running again. Alright, so just open up everything from the beginning and did create this taskbar here again, and loaded our bunny. Even though it's a little bit smaller now, I just simply did change the settings in the importing from I think it was nanometers or something, or millimeters what I had, so I did change it back to centimeters. So right now it did get imported with 10 centimeters and in the Y 9 centimeters. So if you're following this tutorial along, then you can scale it down to this kind of value here. What we could do here now is, first of all, we should save this, because as soon as we close Cinema 4D, this is just simply gone if we don't. So we go Window, let me see, customization, and save layout as. You can also save it as a startup layout, and save layout as really sounds like I'm saying as, you know, like with 2 S maybe. No, don't talk about this. Let's don't talk about this. Okay, and let's overwrite here. I will just simply overwrite here my Octane thing that I've already created. I want this new one here anyway. Okay, so what we can do, what is so pretty about Octane? Octane is a GPU-based, let's call it unbiased engine. And let's first of all lock this window here to the right. Looks pretty cool. And we already look really professional as soon as we have the window here, and start this up. So let's start this up. We can click here on this little render button, and then Octane will try to render here a few things. And if you don't have a light in the scene, this might not work. I mean, I think it did before. Maybe they changed it. Let me also see what we have here in the settings. If you click here this little button, we always come to the settings, and here we can also check our devices. So we can say, okay, which graphic card do I want to use? In my case, it's a 970 and a 780. And now we also get the picture. Maybe the bunny is really a big mesh. I'm not sure. Does it really have so much triangles? Anyway, and we can also change the priority here from low to medium to high. Priority high means that we really get full render power from the graphic cards, but this will also, if you're using the same graphic card for rendering that you're also using here for the viewport or for your PC for viewing, this means that you definitely get some really slow results on your PC, basically. So this is why I will leave this for recording purposes here to priority low. Yeah, but anyway, so what can we do with Octane? I mean, we will really dive later into it a little bit more. For now, I think it's just important that we create some materials or some basic materials. So let me show you this quickly. We can go create shader, Cinema 4D Octane material. Then we also have a mix material and portal material. Mix material is a complete different section and is something that I will explain in a different tutorial, because you can do a lot of stuff with the Octane mix material. So it's really important, and I think it needs its own topic. So we'll just start out with this Octane material. And basically what we get when we open this up for the first time, we have a diffuse channel. So diffuse channel is basically the color channel in a normal Cinema 4D material. So if you create here a normal Cinema 4D material, you would see, okay, color and no diffuse channel, and you go maybe, where is this diffuse channel? I mean, we have a diffusion, but that's not really the same. So basically it's this color channel. So this diffuse channel is basically the color channel. Then we have a roughness, where we can make things glossy or maybe not so glossy, really depending on us and what kind of material we are working on. Then we have the bump channel, so bump mapping, as you might have guessed, so we can make things a little bit higher, we can make it a little bit deeper. Of course, bump mapping is always some kind of fake, so giving us a little bit of depth, but in a fake way, because it's not really deforming geometry, which displacement mapping, of course, does. Normal mapping, basically the same, just working a little bit different than bump mapping. Also, you need some kind of different maps. Normal mapping can really come in handy when you need to save a lot of space and a lot of textures. Mostly used a lot also with Unity, some kind of those 3D applications, because you can really save a lot with normal maps. You can basically, let's say, you have this rabbit here and we sculpt it, and we can bake out for this rabbit here a normal map, and then we can just simply maybe take some kind of cube and then just simply make a normal map, and the rabbit will probably almost look the same. I mean, this was, I think, a little bit, it's not really working like this probably, but somehow in this way. A normal map would just simply save us some space on our graphic card and so on and so on. So let's just simply leave it at that. Displacement mapping, yeah, like I said, true geometry deforming, which is really, really cool. Opacity, as you might have guessed, an opacity channel. So as you can see, when I slide this here around, this material gets more translucent and less translucent depending on how I set the slider. Transmission is something that you would mostly use for light, for all kind of lights. Let's say it like that, because if I change here the color right now, so there's not even anything happening right now. This is because we are here in the diffuse, I think. So this is why it's not working right now. Emission has always something to do with light. So we can go here, texture, Cinema 4D Octane, and then could use here some of those cool stuff, but really fitting would only be in this slot, the texture emission, or do we have anything else? Or the black body emission. Black body emission would be something like a normal light, and then we can just simply put it on a mesh and we can create some light, but I will show you this later on anyway. And then we have a medium. Medium, we can load an absorption medium, and we can use and scattering medium. Scattering medium is basically the SSS, so the subsurface scattering of Octane. An absorption medium is a little bit something else. Just simply tries to absorb the light at a certain point when the ray's hitting the object. So it's not basically subsurface scattering, it's something else. But also somehow it's really similar. The one is an absorption, the other one is a subsurface scattering. Let's just leave it at that. Common is just simply where we can matte shadow. If you ever need this for plane, let's say, okay, you want to put a car in an HDRI, but you also want to have some kind of, you want to have the shadows, but you don't want to have the plane in the image, then you can just simply tick on here matte, and then you should get the shadow in the HDRI, and it should really look like the car is really sitting in this HDRI, and should be working. Then also affect alpha, rounded edges, and so on. We can all do this here in common. Rounded edges is something if you're too lazy for making somehow, how can I say that? What was the modeling term again? Sub-D modeling. So let's say I create a cube, Okay, that's really a big cube, doesn't matter. Let's look here at the edges. And let's drop this Octane material on there. Yeah, I hope you can see it good. And let's go here really extreme. Let's go rounded edges 10 centimeters. We should get here some round edges on this object. As you can see, Octane tries to smooth out here some edges. Looks kind of weird right now, but yeah, at least those edges are not completely clean. And this is absolutely perfect if you're really deep into a project and you just want to have some kind of round edges. This feature can come in really, really handy, because with such with normal 90-degree edges, you don't get any highlights while rendering, and highlights are sometimes really important, even to push the realism a little bit more, and so on and so on. So this is what round and edge does, and editor is not really important for us. Texture preview size we could set here to a higher amount, but as you can see, as higher we go, the higher the MB would be. So this, I think default is just fine, and the rest is, I think, really, really self-explaining. So what would we do in this diffuse channel? Because we have here 3 channels. We have the diffuse, this is the one that I just explained. Then we have the glossy one and the specular one. So the diffuse one basically is somehow, I would say, I would use for really non-reflecting things. So for all kind of gloss stuff like that. This is really like diffuse. Even thought, just because you're putting a diffuse material on some kind of, I don't know, carpets or whatsoever, this still doesn't make it look realistic, because to gloss stuff there's a little bit more than just putting a diffuse material on it. But diffuse is just normally really like the name itself, diffuse, you know? So there isn't really much to it, not really much to explain, it's just really non-reflecting stuff. So glossy is a complete different topic. So let's change this here to glossy, and let's give it in diffuse, maybe some kind of orange color, maybe something like, I don't know, maybe something like this. And let's drop this on here, and let's see what we get here in the live viewer. And let's maybe also create a light for now, so Octane area light. And let's put this somewhere. Where is it? Okay, here. And let's maybe put this here. Let's make it a little bit smaller. And let's bring it a little bit up, and bring it a little bit this side, and a little bit of rotation. And okay, and a little bit over here. Alright. So we have some kind of light going on in the scene. Even thought, oh, it's rotated in the wrong direction, sorry about that. The point is always pointing in the set direction. So where you see this blue streak here, this blue thing, it's always pointing in this direction where this blue arrow is pointing. So just make sure that you're not making the same mistake as me. And let's jump into the light and just simply go down here a little bit with the intensity. So power, a little bit down, maybe something like that. Yeah, 2, 3, something like this. Okay, so we're getting some kind of reflection here. And also make this invisible, maybe, so we don't have it there already. So we can go visibility, camera visibility turned off. And now we have a little bit of reflection on our bunny, which is kind of cool. So yeah, this is a typical glossy material. Specular is something I will explain a little bit later. So here in the roughness we can say, okay, I want to have, right now I have 100% glossiness, even though this is set here to 0. This is now really full reflective. So it's everything reflecting to 100%. Probably 99.999% or something like that. If we would switch this up here, you can see the reflections gets more blurry and blurry. If I switch this even more up, you can see it's still kind of glossy, but definitely going a little bit more blurry and blurry. And if you would just really pull up, it would almost come diffuse, but not really diffuse. But yeah, a little bit kind of less glossy, or a lot less glossy. So let's change this back maybe to a value here of 0.05 maybe. So we still have some glossiness going on. The film width and the film index, this is really something that you would only use for some absolutely special materials. So some kind, lenses and stuff like that, this is where film width and film index would really help, because if you ever have looked before into a camera lens, you get all these kind of crazy colors, you know, like this really blue, green, red. There's a lot of stuff going on, really a lot of stuff. And with this film index and film width, you can try to achieve some of those effects that is happening inside of a lens. Even thought if you model a lens correctly inside of a 3D program without any mistakes and really make it absolutely perfect, you should get, with a normal lighting setup, you should get the exact same effect in a 3D application as well. This film width and film index is just basically here to really fake this stuff, so we don't have to model so accurate, because how a camera lens is really modeled, I probably will never know, and I don't think there is anything. I mean, probably on the internet something is flying around how to make this work, maybe, but this would be really something for a professional, I guess, and this would be basically a little bit too much for me. And also, I mean, how often do you model a camera lens? Let's be honest. And to not be 100% accurate, we can just simply use this film width and film index. You could also read this a little bit better in the manual, but basically this is what's happening. I mean, maybe I can mix this in here a little bit so we can see what's going on. I don't think this will work here. Maybe when we jump to glass, we can check this out a little bit better. 1.45 I think was the value. Or can we already? No, we can't. Okay, never mind. Because basically in Cinema 4D you can often just simply do a right click here on the arrows and then it changes back to its default. But the default here seems to be 1 and not 1.45. So yeah, I don't really know if this is working. So yeah, bump mapping already explained. So we can use here bump map. If we want to load maps inside of Octane, we always should use this image texture first. So Cinema 4D Octane image texture, and then we can load here a simple texture. Let's maybe, I don't know, I did render something before in V-Ray. Let's just load this thing here as bump, and as you can see, we're already getting here some kind of weird bump mapping. So this is basically what's happening. We could change this here, the power of this image, and as you can see, as we go down here it gets less and less, and as we go up here we get more and more bump mapping. We could also try to map this here a little bit better, maybe. Let's map this here to some kind of cubic thing, and then we get really some kind of bump mapping here. Even so, this is not even a really good black and white map. Can I show this somehow, this picture? This is how the picture looks. This is the render that came out of V-Ray with some post work. But as you can see, there's not really much black, and I mean a little bit of white is going on, not so much black, to be honest. So I don't know how Octane really calculates this here right now in this scene, but at least you get the idea. So let's delete this here. The normal mapping we already explained, displacement exactly the same like in diffuse, opacity exactly the same. And which is really interesting is here now the index. So with this index is basically the IOR, so the index of reflection or refraction. So we can change this index here to 1.6. And you will see we get now even more reflections, or just more highlighted reflections. If I change this here to, let's go extreme, let's go 4. You will see it already starts to look somehow like metal. If I go to 6, even more, go to 8, even more and more. But if you really want to create metal, we always have to use this little trick. We have to turn on the diffuse channel, bring it to black, because as you can see, everything else, the color really starts, if you're working with a high index, really starts to get overwritten, right? So if I push this here to red again, let's make it really red. You will just see that the diffuse channel really gets overwritten by this high index here. So we can't use the color from the diffuse anymore. So we have to turn the diffuse really black, so absolutely black. And then we need to start to mix in the color from the specular, and this is what the specular channel is for. So we can just simply mix in here now a red color, something like this, and as you can see now we're getting some really nice red metal. We could also go here with some kind of goldish thing, I don't know, maybe something like this here. Yes, yeah, maybe something like that. And if you're not satisfied with this, we could go like this, and you can see we're really starting to get in some kind of gold, and we could play around here with the roughness a little bit. bada boom, bada bam. And now we're really starting to getting some really nice blurry gold material, as you can see. And I mean, the live view is just awesome. It really, I mean, it's updating instantly. I only have 2 old graphic cards. I mean, if you own 4 980 GTX, what do I know? It would even render faster, but faster than that is not even, I think, possible. The next thing that I want to do is we should switch here the kernel mode from direct lighting to path tracing to even get a little bit more of a realistic result. And as you can see, as soon as we switch here to path tracing, we're getting even some extra reflections, because now the bunny also starts to recognize, okay, some light is bouncing off from me and is bouncing back, and I should also reflect myself somehow, which is not doing here in direct lighting, as you can see, because these are just simply shadows. We could probably do this if we pull up here the glossy depth. Yeah, and as soon as we pull up the glossy depth from 2 to 3, you would see we're starting to get the reflections here as well in the direct lighting. But let's go with path tracing whatsoever. So here is the diffuse depth and the specular depth 16. And the max samples we could turn down to maybe something like 1000. So that Octane stops as soon as it has sent in 1000 samples, which you can see down here. As soon as it reaches 1000 samples, it just simply stops rendering till we move the camera again. The last thing that I want to show you, so this was basically glossy for all kinds of plastics, metals, everything that is somehow reflective. And for diamonds, glass, and so on, we would use specular. Specular is basically the glass material, let's call it glass material inside of Octane. So you see, we're already getting this kind of glass here. We could also turn up here a little bit the roughness to get maybe some kind of frosted glass or something like that. I mean, it looks a little bit weird on this bunny now, to be honest, but shouldn't really matter. We have here an index as well. The index is right now 8. This is why it looks so weird. Let's maybe go for normal glass. So let's change this to 1.6. And let's change here the roughness maybe back down. As you can see now, we're really starting to getting some nice glass bunny. And it should also render pretty fast, as you can see. I mean, for glass material, what the hell? Really, what the hell? What is going on? This is freaking awesome. Yeah, I love it. And I can understand why so many people are using Octane these days and try to get into it. I mean, it's absolutely perfect for product shots and for a lot of other stuff. But as soon as you get too much geometry, you just simply can't load the scene anymore. So I think for a lot of exterior work and stuff like that, I think you still are better off with a different engine. But, well, that's just simply me, and yeah. Also, a lot of other clients are still working with V-Ray or with Arnold, so you can't always get away with Octane. I mean, the live view is pretty cool, not questioning that, and I love this engine, but at some point you just simply have to switch to something else. Yeah, but like I said, look at this. I mean, this looks really awesome, and it's rendered really fast. Here we also have a reflection channel, which we probably will never use, to be honest. At least I'm not using it. Here we can now check out the transmission. Let's mix in here maybe an orange color, and we get somehow an orange glass here, which looks also pretty nice. And as you can see, we're also starting to getting even a little bit of caustics here, down here. Even though the caustics are probably extremely turned down in this mode. So let's open up, oh, the live view is open. What am I doing? Here we can change the pass turn power, no, not the pass turn power, sorry, the caustic blur. So right now it gets really blurred. I think, no, it does not. If we change this here to 1, it would get really blurred. But at 0.02, we should still see a little bit something. If we would get here some nice caustics, we could even try to change this to PMC and see if what kind of caustics are here really going on. At least some caustics are definitely going on. Okay, anyway, let's change back to path tracing. So this is basically the transmission. We could also mix in something green and so on and so on. Let's maybe leave it here at some kind of orange, so we don't lose we just don't turn blind. This would be really good. So here we have the medium. Here we could just simply load an absorption medium. Of course, as you can see, already trying to absorb. We can jump in here, then set the density and set the volume step lengths. What all those really cool values mean, you can definitely read in the manual. basically those two values are just simply there to say when the rays need to stop in the object, or at which point they really get absorbed. We can also load here an RGB spectrum here in the absorption, set here some kind of color. Let's maybe turn this here to black, and then play around with the density. Maybe go here really high with the density, maybe to 100. And as you can see, then we get something like that. With 50 we should get less. With 30 we should get less absorption. With 20 we should get less absorption. And what this volume step length really is doing, I'm not 100% sure right now. Let's just simply turn this maybe to, I don't know, 10. But basically what you need is just simply the density to stop the lighting and to fake somehow some little subsurface scattering. But with absorption medium you probably get a faster result than with this real subsurface scattering that is going on. Here you have also density and a volume step length, but you have the absorption, you have the scattering, and you have the emission. So you have a lot of slots to fill in here. If you really want to work with subsurface scattering materials, you can do it like this. And this is also working here in the glossy, I think. No, in the glossy it's not working, sorry. It's only working in the specular and in the diffuse. So diffuse or specular can use subsurface scattering. Fake shadows is not turned on right now. If you're working with a lot of glass in the scene, you might want to turn this on. Might help to speed up the rendering a little bit, which is also, I think, only available in specular mode. If we look at the other modes, there is no fake shadow. So this is what we can use if you're using, like a lot of glass and so on and so on. Then here we have also another new button here, the dispersion. The dispersion is something that I would use for diamonds. So let's go transmission, turn this back to completely white, and let's give this somehow some kind of diamond index. I think the index for diamond was, do I remember, 2.47? 2.43, I think, something like that. This is it for diamonds, even though this will not look good in this picture now, because a diamond will only then look like a diamond when it's cut like a diamond. This is why there are professionals out there that are doing all day, every day, nothing else than cutting diamonds the perfect way, so that the rays can get into this diamond in a certain direction, and only if the light hits the diamond in a certain direction you will get all these nice and playful colors that a diamond should be giving away, of course, like red, blue, green and so on, all those really nice colors. So this has also something to do with the cutting. It's not only the material, but we can turn in here some dispersion like in a diamond, and then you can see we're getting also this all kind of colorful play in this diamond-like material. I mean, this takes now a little bit to render, and we're also starting to getting some caustics down here. So yeah, this is what the dispersion is basically for, to turn in a little bit of this diamond color. Alright. So I think it looks pretty cool right now. Almost looks like a diamond bunny. So that's pretty nice. Anything else? Film with film index I did explain. Bump, normal, displacement, opacity, dispersion. Dispersion? Yeah, dispersion is just what we did use. Index, transmission, medium, fake shadows, and the rest we have here. So yeah, that's basically it. So for water, glass, diamonds and so on, definitely go with specular, plastics, metals and so on. I mean, this metal looks awful right now. We need to go back up with the index. And also in the diffuse we need to go back to black. Let's go back to black. Reminds me of somehow, wasn't there a AC/DC album? Back to black. And turn up the roughness a little bit, and we get our nice gold bunny again. So yeah, that's basically it for the materials. We also have, by the way, a node editor now. So if you would like to work with nodes, you can do this as well. A lot of people prefer working with nodes, a lot of people don't. I'm one of those who doesn't prefer it. It's definitely an easier workflow when you're in it, and it can save you some time. If you're using some nodes over and over again, or if you want to make some changes, then a node system can really be really helpful, and this is why it's also here. But to be honest, I'm not really a fan of node systems. I try to avoid them as much as I can. I mean, I can work with them, it's no problem at all, but I simply don't like it. I think it's just really a matter of taste, to be honest. Okay, so like these are those three basic material types that we can build inside of Octane. So this was really easy. A new feature is this Octane fog volume. So we can just simply bring this in, and as you can see, we see nothing, which is basically not what I was looking for. But as you can see, we have here this really big volume fog, and we can dive in here and search for our bunny, because this is fog, so we really need to search. It's like in the woods right now at midnight, and we need to find our way out, or we need to find our bunny, whatever bunny means in this case. So let's maybe bring the volume here a little bit over here, and let's see if we can see our bunny. I don't really think we can. What we could do, we could just create a light material. Let's play around a little bit with this. I think that's funny. Let's go Octane, diffuse emission. Let's load an emission material. So let's load a light. Let's load a black body emission. And let's just simply put this on the bunny. And let's turn down the power a little bit. Yeah. Now we're already getting this Harry Potter feeling a little bit, where some of those pets are just simply appearing when he's going through the woods. So as you can see, the volume fog is working pretty good. The only thing is it will probably render a little bit slow, but don't worry about this too much, because volume fog is always something that will always render slow no matter what engine you are using. And I think it's surprising that it's working so good on a GPU based engine. So yeah, I don't know, volume fog just simply takes time. This is just how it is. So we can create fog, we can create clouds, we could create all kind of stuff with this new volume thing. Yeah, here you can see we can voxel size. So yeah, how big the voxels are that are generating this this cloud. Voxel multiply render. I'm not sure what that means right now, to be honest. I would need to read this maybe. Maybe let's change this up to 10 and we might get a clue. Maybe not. Maybe this is really something about how good this should look in the end. So as more voxels we are using, probably the better the cloud will look, or the volume fog will look. Edge feather is really something only if we probably would try to achieve clouds and stuff like that inside this volume fog. We could also use a texture, which is pretty cool. We can probably use some noise textures here and stuff like that to really achieve some kind of clouds. Even thought, oh, there is even a cloud button. That's nice. Ooh, that's nice. Okay, let me look at this. Does it really look cloudy? Yeah, it does look cloudy. And let's, whoa, surprise, surprise. Let's see what they did use here in the texture. They did use a noise to generate somehow some kind of clouds. So a noise is always pretty good for creating clouds and all kind of random random stuff. Let's try this again. We can always click on random cloud. That's pretty cool. I like it. Okay. So I don't think there's really much to it, to be honest. Medium, we can also make a fire, really? Can we? Fog, medium fire. Okay. I'm not sure what that means. So, okay, I'm not sure what that means, is basically it. But there is not really much to it. I mean, I think it's really just, even sort of try to be funny here, which I'm probably not, there is not really much to it. So the edge feather will just simply give the edges a little bit more feather. I mean, this is just simply self-explaining. The voxel size is just simply, the size of the voxels. So if you make them bigger, the cloud will probably look not so good. And if you make them smaller, it will probably look a lot better, but also probably would take more render time and use more space on the graphic card. So we should find here some kind of medium value like 5 or something like that. And yeah, as you can see, we can also change this here to a VDB loader. So we could load here probably a VDB. So we can load here a VDB file if you would have one. I don't have one, but if you're working with VDBs, you definitely know what to do with them. And let's check out this VDB thing, if this is just simply VDB loader or generator. So it's basically the same. So we can just simply load a VDB, but I don't think we can export VDBs with Octane, or can we? I don't think we can. No, we can't. Okay, whatsoever. And what we also could create inside of Octane, let's get rid of this light that we have here on our bunny, and also let's turn off this light, this Octane light for now. We can also of course play around with a sunlight or with a daylight. As you can see, just one click on this button and we're already starting to getting some nice sunlight in here. Let's drop back our gold material on our bunny so we can see this a little bit better, and then we can jump in here into the sun tag and change a few things around, the turbidity, the power of the sun. So if I turn this up, you can see really looks good. Then we can turn the north offset, so where the sun is located at, and so on and so on. Then the sun size will have a great impact on our shadow. Let's maybe, I think first of all I have to move this here a little bit more. Let's get out at a different time. Let's click on the second tag. Here we can change the day and the time. So let's maybe change this here to 12 o'clock. So somehow around, yeah, where the food is waiting. And I think we have to re-render now. No, why is it not working? Come on. Enable. Oh, I think I have to. Do I have to click on enable here? Yes, I think I have to. Otherwise this is not working. Interpolate date we could also turn on. Set light color, okay. And now we have to go down here with the power a little bit. But here you can see the shadow now, and this is what's really important. And if I go up here with, right now we have a really hard shadow, which is basically what you get normally when you're using a sun. But if the shadow is just simply a little bit too hard, you can go up with the sun size. And what the sun size does is just simply blurring out this shadow, and you're just simply getting softer and softer shadows. Even at some point it might not look so realistic anymore, but this is what you can do with the sun size if you want to. So this is what it's for. Okay, so there's not much to it. You can change the sky color, you can change the sun color, and you could also add a fog here, okay, which is kind of cool. I'm not sure where we're seeing this then. We can also change the thickness. Interesting. So we can make some kind of fog here. Even though I don't think this is really fog. This is some kind of fake. Okay. Oh well. Okay. But at least we have the opportunity to do something here. And here in the sun tag, don't forget here in Basic to turn on enable. Otherwise, those changes I don't think take effect. Let me check this out if it does now. Yes. And let's turn this to really late time now. Maybe to 20. Yes. Okay, perfect. So that's working as well. So let's get rid of this Octane daylight and let's check this target light out. I didn't check this out yet, but I think it's just basically a normal area light where you can yeah, set a target here with this thing. So light target. Yeah, that's basically it, I guess. Okay, so if I set my bunny into this light target, does it work? Probably. Let's set it on the plane. I don't think it works like that. You probably can just simply move this null around and then the light moves with it. I mean, at least this is what I'm guessing. Or does it? Yes. Exactly, this is what's happening. So we're taking the null object and then we can turn around the light with it. So that's okay with me. So let's get rid of this Octane light, so there's not really much to it. With this area light, let's make this visible again. We can do a lot more than just simply make a normal area light. Even though area lights are really those things that get used a lot, of course, because they're most realistic. We could also use an IIS light. So you can see here the IIS button. So let's click IIS. And then we get here the distribution image texture. And in this image texture, we should now be able to load an IIS file. And I still hope I have some IIS file. Alright, I'm back. Really sorry. Somehow exactly on this point the video crashed. So we were at the IIS light. So let's just simply load this IIS light now. And yeah, let's just simply load it. Where did I hide those IIS files? They're somewhere. I know they're hiding. There we go. To demonstrate this a little bit better, I think we can just simply bring in a plane here. And let's move this up. Maybe something like this, 90 degrees. Bring it over here. Bada boom, bada bam. And let's bring the light maybe somehow like this. And let's maybe turn on Octane Render, couldn't hurt. Burp. Let's drop it here. And let's see what we get in this render. Let me make this a little bit smaller and bring it more to the wall, and also let me go down here a little bit with the power. Let's maybe to 10. And let's bring it to the wall so we can see a little bit better what's happening, so that you really can see we're getting here a nice IES light. As you can see, let's maybe make it a little bit brighter. Let's make it 30. You can see we get this nice fall off light here. We also see a little bit of a preview what the IES light will look like. So yeah, this is also possible as well. So IIS lights, no problem for Octane whatsoever. Basically most often used, of course, for exteriors and interiors. What we also can do, we can of course also load a texture if we want to. So let's just simply go EF or texture, Cinema 4D, okay, Octane image texture. And then we'll just simply load up some texture here. The question is only which texture I should load. Maybe the zero. I just simply need somehow a white or black logo. Let's just simply load this Apple logo here. Doesn't really matter. Is it loaded? Yes, it is. And let's click on invert. And now, as you can see, only the logo is emitting light. Everything else is completely black. So we should also get some kind of light down on the floor. Maybe we have to power this up here a little bit. The smaller the light is, the more render time Octane normally will use or will need to calculate this. Octane is not really bi-directional, so this might be in some cases a little bit of a problem if you have really small light sources inside of Octane. This is where Corona really shines for those situations. But yeah, as you can see, only the Apple logo is casting some light and the rest is not. Okay, so this was basically the light, I think. So you can go here, if you create a new light, black body emission, to create mesh lights. So we can put the light on every single mesh that you have in the scene. That was what I showed you before anyway. So Cinema for the Octane black body emission. And then we can do the exact same thing. We can change here a little bit the temperature. Let's maybe just simply drop this onto our bunny to demonstrate this once more maybe. Where's my bunny? Hello? Okay, here we go. Let's drop this on here. And we can change here the temperature. This is Kelvin, by the way. So yeah, I think there's still a material on there, right? Yes, let's delete this. Let's bring this here. Let's reload the scene. And still not working. Why? Why would you do that to me? Why? Let's reload. Okay, let's maybe give it more power. Okay, there's something really wrong. Oh, I think I did. Did I load it in the wrong channel? Yes, I did load it in the diffuse channel, which is not really a good idea. We should load it in the emission channel, of course. This is why it's called black body emission. And then we can change down the power, and we can change here a little bit the temperature of the light, Kelvin scalar. So as we go higher, it turns more blue. If we go lower, then we just simply go more in the reddish direction till we have a light like this. Let's maybe turn this on a little bit more. We can see it a little bit better, what kind of light this is emitting. And at 6500 we should reach somehow a white point. Anything else? Maybe the camera. I think I didn't talk about the camera yet, so we can just simply create a camera in our scene, put an Octane camera tag on it, and then we can do all kind of funny things. So we can make a really nice TOF if you want. Maybe let's change here the material quickly to something else so we can see this a little bit better. And let's duplicate this bunny so we can bring here a little bit something in the back so we can see the DOF a little bit better, the depth of field that is going on. And let's maybe also bring another bunny. Let's rotate it a little bit. Okay, this was really a bad rotation. Okay, doesn't matter. Let's bring it in front and let's put it somewhere around here, and let's set up our camera like this. And let's maybe delete the light here in the back. We don't need this anymore. And there is now one. I think I did delete the wrong bunny. Let's bring this in the back, like I said. Let's bring it maybe here. And we can just simply jump into our camera and switch here the aperture, as you can see. And now with really this middle bunny, if autofocus is turned on, Octane always tries to find the perfect, the object that we really want to focus. Most of the time this is working pretty good. If not, you can just simply turn off autofocus and make it on your own. Just simply jump out of the camera, take this little angle here on the cam, and then bring it in place. I think this is only working if we take autofocus off. Why is this not working right now? Also pretty cool. Why? There should be some handles on this camera. Yeah, okay. I think I just have to click on the camera, and then we can bring this focus here back just by selecting this middle point here of the camera and then bring it in front of the bunny that we want to have in focus. We can also do this here in the object, change the focus distance. Here we can also change our lens, so let's go with a 50mm maybe. Maybe this looks also pretty cool. Let's go a little bit back. And as you can see, Octane is rendering this extremely fast. I mean, this is one of the fastest DOFs that I have ever seen. This is really absolutely amazing, I think, personally. Here the camera imager, we can enable this. If you ever render an alpha out, make sure you always tick here on pre-multiplied alpha. Otherwise you might get some anti-aliasing issues around your thingy. Neutral response is always good to get a perfectly wide image. What you also can do is go linear down here in the camera response and then set the gamma to 2.2, and you should be able to get a perfect white balance in your scene. Anything else that I want to mention? The rest is relatively self-explaining. Vignetting I would always turn off. You can always do some vignetting in post-work. Saturation, hot pixel removal, as you might have guessed, for hot pixel removal. Anything else? No, we don't really need to talk about exposure gamma, self-explaining, highlight compression, self-explaining, neutral response I just explained, and here you can set a lot of DOF settings. We can also set here the aperture edge to 3 maybe to get a little bit of a different highlight behavior of the DOF. So if this is in the end around, let's maybe go here a little bit higher so we can see this a little bit better. Light would be really good in the back. But here we already start to get this round behavior. If you change here the aperture edge, this would look a little bit different. So you can just simply play around with this. Then here we also have a distortion and so on and so on. Here we can set a near clip and a far clip, probably for a Z depth pass that we could render out with multi passes. So yeah, there's not really much to it. Then we can also change this to an orthographic view, and we can change the camera type to panoramic, and a lot of other stuff, also to baking, and what do I know. So there's a lot of stuff possible. Post-processing really does what it says, so a little bit of post-processing, so we can turn in here some bloom power if we want to, a little bit of glare power if you would have here some really nice highlights going on. This would really pop out. Then we don't right now, so this is why we can see it good, but just simply play with the values and you will see instantly what is happening. Also what I want to explain is the scatter object, so we can use Octane scatter, and this means this is basically working also like a clone object inside of Cinema 4D. I'm not even sure if this scatter object does anything different, but we can drop in here one of our bunnies, and then we can look what's happening here. Right now this is set to vertex. Let's maybe change this to surface. Oh, and as surface we should probably give it the surface. So we should give it the plane that we have here on the ground right now. So let's do that quickly. And let's maybe also make this plane editable. Maybe this makes a difference. Well, let's make it not. Let's don't do this right now because I want to see if it works, and let's get rid of the DOF first of all so we can really see what's going on. Okay, so it's setting a lot of points here in the scene. And can we also not drop our object that we want to scatter? Is this just like this? Yes, now we're getting thousands and thousands of bunnies. Right now we should have now in the scene maybe, let's make this plane bigger. I don't know how many, oops, this was the bunny. Let's make this plane here way bigger. So you can see, okay, our bunnies are everywhere. This is rendering instant. So no problem with that. So no problem with creating. Let's see how we can get this. Maybe we make it 10,000. Okay, so 10,000 bunnies are no problem whatsoever for Octane. That's fine with me. Let's maybe make the plane even bigger. So right now we have 10,000 bunnies going on in our scene, and it's still rendering like a charm. Let's see how much we can randomize this here. Let's maybe switch the seed. Okay, they're still looking all at me. Position, scale, and rotate. Rotate sounds extremely good to me for what we are looking for. And let's maybe bring this in here, 90 degrees. Okay, now they are all moving 90 degrees. Shader, let's load a noise here maybe. The noise also does something. What does the shader do exactly? Let me change this value here maybe to something black. Okay. Okay, so we can also, via color, black and white probably, control here the rotation. I just want to know if it's possible that we really randomize this here. Color 1, display type line, disparate. Surface vertex. Yeah, surface is okay. Can't see it. Keep away. What is keep away? I'm not sure about that. Up vector. Okay, so we can align our object. We can load a vertex map if we want to. We can load a shader here as well. Normal threshold, okay. And here we have the position, link to distribution, rotate, and so on. Okay. I think it would be just simply better if we could rotate every single bunny, or just simply bring a little bit of a randomizer in. Maybe we can do that, but I'm not sure. I want to see if this works with a cinema for the cloner object so good as well. This would be really interesting. So let's bring in here, where was it again? Simulate? No. MoGraph and cloner, and let's drop in our bunny. Okay, so we have here some bunnies stacked up right now. I don't want to do it like that. Let's go object, and the object we want to clone is of course our bunny. And now we are crashing. Oh, are we? Are we crashing? Maybe we're not. I think I did something wrong here. Probably did something wrong. The selection. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, this is now really slow. Slowing down, slowing down. Red alert, red alert. We are crashing. Okay. I will just pause the video here because it's really going extra slow here now. If I'm even able to hit the pause button, you know. Okay, so here we are back again, and let's try this now once again. So let's go cloner, and let's drop in, let's set this here to object again. Here's the object mode, okay. And this time we shouldn't go, this time we tick on render instances. And the object is the plane. This is where it should be cloned on. Distribution, let's go edge for now. And let's drop in our bunny under the cloner. And now we're getting a lot of bunnies, even though they are not correctly aligned, but we can fix that with this transform here. Like this, okay, so minus 90 here. Okay, perfect. And now we can drop, let's click on the cloner and go MoGraph effector random. Let's change here, let's turn off the position, let's turn on the rotation, and let's just simply do it like this. And let's see how many clones we have. Maybe object is not the best idea here. Maybe let's just go, well, maybe it's okay. Let's set the distribution to surface maybe. Now we can type in here count, so let's give it 1000 for now, 1000 bunnies. And let's see what Octane is doing and how it's handling it. Hopefully not anything crashes again. Please don't crash on me. No, this would be really horrible if this would crash once again. Okay, it's for sure not loading that fast like the scatter object inside of Octane, that's for sure. That's pretty for sure. Or let's maybe give it an HDRI environment. Maybe this was necessary. Okay, okay, well, it is rendering very fast. Just didn't have any light in the scene. Let's maybe up this here to 10,000. Okay, no problem as well. Even thought the viewport goes a little bit slow here. This is really a Cinema 4D problem, not an Octane problem. We could also give this here a tag, Cinema 4D tag display. And then we can use this, or we can just simply here change this here to ISO spams first of all, and hidden lines. Let's just turn it down to constant shading and even, yeah, bring this down to box. Then we should have a little bit more movement. We could even bring this down to skeleton, then we only have those streaks in the scene. This doesn't really help right now. Let's bring it back down to box and go here to hidden lines. I mean, where am I in the scene right now? Okay. I'm starting to see I'm somewhere down on this plane and I need to zoom out and go back and oh my goodness. Let's just go frame all. Okay, that's better. That's a lot better. Now we need to zoom back in. So yeah, this is working pretty good. So we could also give our bunny one material here. Let's go Cinema 4D Octane material and give it somehow some kind of plastic thingy here. Let's maybe make it orange or something like that. Yes. Okay, and the index maybe a little bit higher, 1.58. Looking good. Where did I in the specular? Yes, of course I did in the specular. That's pretty awesome. Let's do it in the diffuse. Orange, and let's go, and let's drop it on our bunny. And this should be already working. Yeah, that's looking good. That's looking really good. Okay, so let's see if we can get 100,000. I don't want to press the button, to be honest, I really don't, but let's do it. Let's go 100,000, let's go nuts here. 100,000 bunnies, and we get our 100,000 bunnies. And how much MB do we have on the card still left? Okay, just 381 MB are used now, which is pretty good. Let's try. Should we go for the million? Let's go for the million. Let's go for the million. I'm really feeling like standing on the wheel of fortune and saying to myself, let's go for the million. Let's try it. Let's try. Doesn't look good. Maybe it looks good. Let's wait. Should I try to re-render? I think it just takes some time to load. Maybe it's now. Maybe the graphic card is out of memory. This could also be. Maybe not. Let's maybe get down here back to 100,000. If I'm allowed to change this. No, I'm not allowed to change anything anymore here in my scene. Okay, alright. 1 million might have been a little bit too much, or is maybe just takes some time to load. But at least we can do a little bit something here, that's for sure. Let me kill Cinema 4D. Bada boom, bada bam. And let me open it back up again. I think we can really also close this chapter here. Just want to talk a little bit more about the settings and also the live DB that you can use. I think the scatter object is really cool. I just have to read a little bit into it in the original Octane scatter tool, if we can also use maybe some MoGraph effectors with it, which would be really cool and I think also necessary. But let's go here, Octane settings, and let's talk about those a little bit. Even thought, I think they are pretty much self-explaining. If you really ever run into some anti-aliasing problems, you can go up here with the filter size. Most of the time use a value between 1.6 and 2. Specular depth, glossy depth, diffuse depth. This is just really how far the depths or how far the rays go in or bounce around inside of the object and outside of the object. This is just really only necessary if you're really working with direct lighting. Then you have here really low values, but really a fast render time. If you would change this here to path tracing, you see this extremely goes up right away to 16. You probably never have to go higher than 16, maybe in some cases, maybe pull it up to 20 if you want to check if something is afterwards different, but normally 16 is pretty good. Camera imager, this caustic blur is, you can, if you have a lot of caustics in the scene and it's rendering really slow, you can put this caustic blur here to 1, then you will get faster render times. This is, I think, all a little bit too technical to go into it. You can really read this in the manual. That's not really so interesting. You probably have never to change those values here. The max samples are the max samples that are sent into the scene. So just simply make a test render, and if you think, okay, the image is at, I don't know, 1000 samples clean, then just simply type in here 1000 samples and then render out your animation with 1000 samples through the whole animation. Camera imager is also, we can set up a camera here if you don't want to use a tag. So it's exactly the same thing. Natural response we can set here, other responses, gamma exposure, and so on and so on. Posts we can also do here if we don't use a camera tag, so we can enable this or disable this. Here are settings which are really interesting, or a little bit more interesting. Priority low and medium and high for your graphic cards that you have installed. High will always give you more speed, but of course less power on your computer. So if you're also using your viewport card for rendering and you set this here to high, you will probably not be able to do much on your computer anymore, really depending on the card of course as well. Account, where you set your account settings, where you have to type in your license and so on. You probably have already done this, otherwise you wouldn't watch this tutorial, because then you can't work with Octane. Or you have the demo version, then you don't have to type it in, I guess. Cinema 4D shaders, if this is allowed to use, so if you can use noises coming from Cinema 4D. If we would tick this off, I think Octane is just simply not translating it. Here we can also set CPU cores that help us a little bit with the Cinema 4D shaders translating, I guess. So we can set here more cores, but here multi-cores can cause crashes, use at your own risk, so I will just simply leave this here at 1. Render size, we can here also set a render size for the shaders that are coming from the Cinema 4D noise or whatever Cinema 4D shaders we are using. So as higher we set this value, the more RAM we will probably need, but also the higher the quality we'll get. Here we can set some preview samples, preview size. I think this is not really interesting here. Here you can set the Octane application if you ever wanna export something to the standalone version. You can do this here. Environment, not really interesting. Out of core might be interesting, because if you have this ticked on, all the textures are getting loaded in the CPU RAM instead of the GPU RAM, which can help to save some space. And if you're already low on RAM on your card because the scene is so big, I would recommend to enable this, that at least the textures getting loaded into the CPU RAM and are not saved on your graphic card anymore. I think this, here you can change a little bit of the node colors and so on and so on. So this is not really, I mean, maybe for you interesting, but for me not really. You can check this out on your own. Then if you jump here into Octane render and enable this here we can also set a motion blur. Full motion blur is here enabled. We would also need to create a camera and a tag and enable motion blur here as well. And then maybe also set for the object that is moving here an object tag and enable here motion blur, or just simply leave the tag. And here it's set to transform, but you can also set it to transform vertex if you have some vertex movement going on as well. Time sampling per frame, I think a value between 1 and 3 gives you really good results on your motion blur. If you think your motion blur is not good enough, just simply go up here with the value till you get a good motion blur. Here render buffer type 8-bit, or float tone map is 16-bit, or float linear is 32-bit rendering. Clay rendering, if you wanna do this, we can set this here. If you need a quick clay render, because we have already so many textures and shaders in the scene, we can just simply click here and make maybe a clay render for our, output, if you want to show a clay render as well on our Facebook page or on our portfolio whatsoever. Geometry engine, if it only should resend updated objects to the graphic card, so only objects with this tag will be resent and updated through the rendering process. So if you set this here to resend only updated objects and you have another cube that is moving through the scene and you have no tag, then this cube will just simply stay still in your final rendering, will get no motion blur and will get no movement whatsoever. Geometry control auto detect is just fine. Override kernel settings, we could enable this, then we can also change here a little bit from direct lightning to path tracing or to PMC, so Monte Carlo rendering. Render passes, here we can set all our render passes if we want to. This is really important as well. I think then we have to tick on multipass here as well, probably. I think I will do an own tutorial on those multipasses on Octane in the next few chapters, so we can go there a little bit more into depth and check this out as well. So I think this was a little bit tiny introduction of Octane. I mean, a lot of things, if you have worked with other engines before, are really self-explaining. If you haven't worked with other engines before, you have seen what you can do and how fast you can do it with this really fast engine. It's a pretty good and really fast engine, but on Monday, this Monday, so tomorrow, Maxwell version 4 will hit finally the ground, and I really can't wait to check this out. If this engine is just only, I don't know, a fifth so fast as Octane is right now and still brings the same shader quality in, I think my new favorite render engine with live viewport will be Maxwell. But I don't want to say anything right now. Let's see what we get tomorrow from Maxwell. I really can't wait to check this engine out, to be honest. I think it will be freaking amazing. At least this is what I'm hoping, and this is what everybody's hoping. Also, Silverwing VFX is already really thrilled and is sitting at home and can't wait, I guess. So yeah, we are all a little bit thrilled here, and let's hope it will be a good one. Okay, so I really hope this got you a little bit into the basics of Octane. I think a lot of things, like I said before multiple times, are self-explaining, and a few things that I didn't explain, you can really read through the manual. This is more like the technical stuff, but this should really get you started with rendering inside of Octane, setting up some lights, setting up some geometry, putting on some nice shaders, and maybe make a diamond rendering or whatsoever. So you should really be able now to do a little bit something in Octane. So this was it for the basics, and yeah, I catch you soon and see you in the next chapter. Bye bye.